Hit that like button and subscribe for more content.
A Twisted History of the United States, by Gary Richied, offers a unique and often humorous perspective on American history, re-examining significant events and figures through a critical and satirical lens. Richied aims to debunk myths and challenge conventional narratives by highlighting the contradictions, absurdities, and lesser-known facts about the country's past. Here's a detailed summary of the book, capturing its main themes and insights. Introduction. Gary Richied sets the stage by emphasizing the importance of looking at history from different angles. He acknowledges that history is often written by the victors and can be biased, incomplete, or sanitized. His goal is to provide a more nuanced and sometimes humorous account of American history, uncovering the twisted aspects that are often overlooked. Early colonization. Richied starts with the arrival of European explorers in the Americas. He critically examines the notion of discovery, pointing out that the land was already inhabited by advanced civilizations. He describes the often brutal encounters between Native Americans and Europeans, highlighting the exploitation and violence that marked these early interactions. Figures like Christopher Columbus are depicted not as heroic explorers but as opportunists whose actions led to significant suffering for indigenous populations. The Founding Fathers and the Revolution. The book delves into the American Revolution, focusing on the contradictions of the Founding Fathers. Richied humorously critiques the paradox of fighting for liberty while many leaders were slave owners. He portrays figures like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin as complex characters whose personal lives often contradicted their public ideals. The Declaration of Independence is both celebrated for its revolutionary principles and critiqued for its exclusion of women, Native Americans, and African Americans. Expansion and manifest destiny. Moving into the 19th century, Richied explores the concept of manifest destiny and westward expansion. He satirizes the belief that Americans were destined to spread across the continent, emphasizing the displacement and suffering of Native American tribes. The Mexican-American War is portrayed as an aggressive land grab rather than a noble cause. Richied uses humor to highlight the often brutal and unjust methods used to achieve territorial expansion. The Civil War and Reconstruction. Richied covers the Civil War with a focus on the deep-seated economic and social divisions that led to the conflict. He portrays key figures like Abraham Lincoln and Robert E. Lee with nuance, acknowledging their contributions while also critiquing their flaws. The Reconstruction era is described as a time of significant opportunity and profound failure, as efforts to integrate freed slaves into American society were often thwarted by persistent racism and violence. The Gilded Age and Progressive Era. The narrative shifts to the late 19th and early 20th centuries, marked by rapid industrialization and economic inequality. Richied satirizes the excesses of the Gilded Age, highlighting the stark contrast between the opulent lifestyles of the wealthy and the harsh realities faced by workers and immigrants. The Progressive Era is depicted as a time of social reform and activism, but Richied also points out the limitations and contradictions of progressive leaders who often failed to address racial and gender inequalities fully. The World Wars and the Great Depression. Richied examines the major global conflicts of the 20th century, including World War I and World War II. He critiques the romanticization of these wars, focusing on the human cost and the complex geopolitical motivations behind them. The Great Depression is portrayed as a period of immense hardship that exposed the flaws of unregulated capitalism, leading to significant governmental intervention through Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal. The Cold War and Civil Rights Movement. The post-World War II era is marked by the ideological struggle between the United States and the Soviet Union. Richied satirizes the paranoia and propaganda of the Cold War, as well as the contradictions of fighting for freedom abroad while denying civil rights at home. The Civil Rights Movement is celebrated for its achievements, with figures like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X portrayed as visionary leaders. However, Richied also highlights the resistance they faced and the ongoing struggles for racial equality. The late 20th century to the present. The narrative continues through the latter part of the 20th century, covering events such as the Vietnam War, the Watergate scandal, and the rise of neoliberalism under Ronald Reagan. Richied critiques the excesses of the 1980s and 1990s, including corporate greed and political corruption. He also addresses more recent events, such as the Iraq War, the 2008 financial crisis, and the election of Donald Trump, presenting them as part of a continuing pattern of contradictions and conflicts in American history. Conclusion. In the concluding chapters, Richied reflects on the state of the nation and the lessons to be learned from its twisted history. He emphasizes the importance of critically examining the past to understand the present and build a better future. Richied calls for a more inclusive and honest approach to history that acknowledges the contributions and struggles of all Americans. Key themes and insights. The complexity of historical figures. Richied presents historical figures as complex individuals with both admirable qualities and significant flaws, challenging the simplistic hero worship often found in traditional narratives. The role of contradictions. The book highlights the contradictions in American history, such as the fight for freedom coexisting with the institution of slavery, and the pursuit of democracy alongside the displacement of Native Americans. The impact of power and privilege. Richied emphasizes how power and privilege have shaped historical events and narratives, often at the expense of marginalized groups. The importance of critical inquiry. By satirizing historical events and figures, Richied encourages readers to question conventional narratives and seek a more nuanced understanding of the past. Style and approach. Richied's writing style is marked by wit and humor, using satire to make serious points about American history. His irreverent tone helps to engage readers and makes complex historical events more accessible and entertaining. The book is well researched, with Richied drawing on a wide range of sources to support his arguments and provide a comprehensive overview of American history. In summary, A Twisted History of the United States, by Gary Richied offers a provocative and humorous take on American history, challenging readers to rethink the stories they have been told and consider the complex realities behind the nation's past. Through satire and critical analysis, Richied provides a fresh perspective on the events and figures that have shaped the United States, encouraging a more inclusive and honest approach to understanding history.
Hit that like button and subscribe for more content.